Now, I'm not gonna lie, Game of Thrones Season 7 was epic beyond epicness. There was no better television present until that moment when each episode aired. But in this video, I kinda want to discuss several things that I would have done differently about Game of Thrones Season 7. Before we get started, I am doing a massive holiday giveaway where there will be 5 separate winners. All you have to do to enter that contest is like this video, leave a comment down below, subscribe to me here on YouTube, and then click the gleam.io link down below and follow all those different ways you can enter the contest. The first thing I would have changed about Game of Thrones Season 7 was something that happened pretty early on. As soon as Daenerys arrived in Dragonstone, all members in her party started discussing a plan of attack. Now, if it were me, I would have had Daenerys attack King's Landing directly, like it was suggested in one of those meetings. I would have had her take all 3 dragons, all of her forces, everything to King's Landing, storm it, fly straight to the Red Keep, and take out Cersei right then and there. It wouldn't have been much for a Season 7, but it would have shown you how serious it was going into these final 2 seasons of Game of Thrones. Not only did we get dick on the seasons being shorter, but also would have shown you just how high the stakes are. Just imagine the opportunity it would have been to see Cersei right back in jail. Like, she had just, not necessarily escaped, but conned her way out of jail before, and she then blew up everyone when she would almost have had to efface the music. Now Daenerys shows up and there is no getting away from that. Now, I definitely don't think they should have wiped her out. I think Cersei should be one of the last characters left alive just to show you what a real bittersweet ending is. But it would have been awesome to see her thrown right back in jail. And we would have gotten to see the Mountain take out several Unsullied, and maybe even the Mountain would have taken out Grey Worm, or maybe he would have been able to basically not have been stopped. Like, Daenerys' forces couldn't get to him in time, and he was able to escape with Cersei. Cersei would have then traveled back to Casterly Rock, but I'm just going to stop right there because it might turn into a what-if video. Another thing I would have changed would have been the whole Arya Sansa plotline. Now, one of the first things I could think of to change that whole thing is if, as soon as Arya arrives there, she finds out from Sansa and Bran, that everything's somewhat okay in Winterfell, and then she immediately goes and leaves to be by Jon's side. She realizes that Jon's decision was kind of stupid, and the fact that he only took a few Winterfell soldiers and went dead into enemy territory. She knows Cersei is a mad woman living in King's Landing, and she probably knows not to really trust a Targaryen. Honestly, at that point in the season, no one really trusted Targaryen. So I just think with Arya's bond with Jon, she would want to go and be by his side. And just imagine, she would have eventually met up with Gendry. If it had gone down that way, it would have gotten rid of a lot of the delusion that happened in Winterfell. Like, it was crazy. Like, I know they wanted to leave us in suspense, but I feel like it was a little bit unbelievable that Sansa and Arya were working together at any point. Just as, like, not only me, but I know a lot of people, when we were watching that, it was just confusing. It was a hot mess. So in order to avoid all that, I would have sent Arya straight down to Dragonstone to be by Jon Snow's side. It would have made sense from a literary standpoint because Jon rushed into that decision. He didn't think about it all the way, and honestly, as soon as he got the Dragonstone, he was a prisoner. We may not have gotten the Arya and Brienne fight scene, which was like my top 2 favorite moments of the season, but we would have gotten Daenerys and Arya exchanging words. Can you just imagine that? Like, obviously they would go to like each other. Like, I feel like, how could you not like Emilia Clarke, even in pretend character she's playing on a TV show? You know what I mean? I'm sure it would have been some really funny dialogue exchanged. And then later on, when Daenerys shows up at Winterfell, Arya would be there as another person who's known her almost as long as Jon has to help kind of ice everything over with everyone. I mean, come on. Boat sex is going to make a lot of implications in the North. Also, we would have had a lot of amazing dialogue between Tyrion and Arya. Let me know down below what some of the lines they would have said to each other would be. Now, this next thing that I would have changed about Season 7 is probably something that a lot of people would have left in there just because he's a fan favorite. Now, hear me out and give me a chance to explain myself. I would have had Cersei kill Jaime Lannister using the Mountain right then and there. I know, it sounds crazy, right? But that's the effect it would have had on us. We would have been like, holy shit, this season ended with a bang. Last season literally ended with a bang, and this season is more of like, oh my god, shit is real. Like, just imagine the inner turmoil Cersei would have been facing going into next season. She would have been caught off guard, and we would have realized just how serious it was. Like, we lost Olenna this season, but we didn't lose any, like, top favorite characters. Jaime Lannister is definitely one of those. We like him even more because he's had such a crazy arc. We hated him at first. We grow to love him, halfway through the series. It's insane. So if they had wiped him out just then and there, it would have shown you, once again, how serious it was going into the very last season of Game of Thrones. It would have also freed up some dialogue to grow and see some interesting character development from some of the second-tier cast members. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of Jaime Lannister, and it would have sucked to not be able to see him on screen, but just imagine what that would have, Tyrion would finally be at the point where he's like, screw Cersei. Like, he was at that before, but if he finds out that, the mountain basically wiped him out, it would just be insane. And it's like, I do want to see Jaime go back and redeem himself completely for House Stark, but it would totally drive the plot forward to have killed Jaime Lannister right then and there. This also would have given Brienne even more of a reason to hate Cersei, and just imagine how badass it would see to finally see Cersei meet her end by the hands of either Brienne or Arya, or a combination of the two of them. Like, Brienne, the one person that I think she can find happiness with is Jaime. Like, she feels the same way that Jaime does about her. Now, I know Tormund has a huge crush on her, but I think that's more of like a physical thing. Like, basically what I'm trying to get at is that Jaime and Brienne go deeper than Brienne and Tormund would. Brienne and Tormund is definitely a crowd and a fan favorite, but Jaime and Brienne is even more so because they're actually in love with each other. As far as freeing up dialogue for secondary or second-tier characters, just imagine if we got more scenes with Euron. Like, I hated this dude when we saw him at the King's Moot, and then he killed off the Sand Snakes, and he had some awesome scenes, like amazing lines. You know what I mean? We didn't see much of him throughout the season, but at the beginning, he came in with a bang. So, if we have Jaime killed off there early, we get to see Euron developed more as a character, and honestly, he's a huge book sensation. Like, everybody loves to hate this dude. He's so manipulative, he's conniving. We would actually get to see that on screen if Jaime was gone, taking up less than the time. Also, if this is my version of Game of Thrones Season 7, that means it would free up time to see more of the Arya Gendry plotline if Arya were to actually have left Winterfell and go see Jon, which honestly, like I said, it makes more literary sense because if you look in the novels, and even on the show it's kind of hinted at, but in the novels, they're like, Arya is Jon Snow's favorite, just like Jon is Arya's favorite. Another thing about Jaime dying is that it frees up budget that would have otherwise been spent on his salary for Season 7. It opens up the budget for longer battle scenes. Maybe they won't skip over battle scenes. Like, I still can't believe they kind of skipped over mostly the siege of Highgarden. Like, we hardly got to see any of that. And I feel like in Season 8, we can't afford that. The last thing that I want to change, that I'm going to mention in this video anyway. If you guys want me to do a part 2, make sure you write that down below in the comment section. Say, hey, yo, Sir Hunts, do a part 2 of things you would have changed with Game of Thrones Season 7. The last thing I would have changed that I want to mention in this video, like I just said, was the casting of Rhaegar Targaryen. Now, I think we can all agree with that. This character, although he might have looked a little bit like Daenerys' brother, Viserys, I honestly think they could have gotten such a better casting. Like, he had lines, kind of, it was like muted. We were meant to focus on Bran, watching them and watching Bran's reaction to this as well as our own reaction. I feel like the casting was a terrible choice. Man, like, I don't know. I honestly think that it would have been better if they had, like, just not even shown his face. If they had just shown his armor. Like, kind of like we had just saw, like, a portion of Lyanna's face over his shoulder. And it was mainly out of focus. And like I said, we're meant to focus on just Bran figuring out the truth. And then Bran will relay the truth to Sam. And that's when we have it confirmed as an audience. You know what I mean? I feel like, I don't know, they wanted to kind of stay in tune with that. But I also think that that is nowhere near the way that Rhaegar is described in the books. Like, this dude legit looked like John fucking Cena in a white wig on a fantasy series. Like, it was out of nowhere. I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's supposed to be Rhaegar Targaryen. Like, they could have made him a little bit taller, maybe a little bit more muscle bound. Like, Rhaegar wasn't necessarily known for being muscle bound, but he was definitely meant to be lean, and he was a great warrior. Like, it would have been even cooler if they didn't get the casting so well, if maybe they could have had him playing a harp or something and showing us wooing Lyanna. Like, I don't think that's the last that we would see of Rhaegar and Lyanna, but in all reality, it probably is. We only have 6 episodes going into Season 8, and I don't know if we'll have time to have Bran lollygagging in the Weirwood net as opposed to spying on the Night King and how to take him out. I do think we're going to get some more flashbacks next season. I just don't know if we're going to have any time to show that version of Rhaegar. Like, we might see a younger version of Rhaegar. I don't know. I hope they recast him. I personally would have casted someone along the lines of like Chris Hemsworth or Liam Hemsworth. You know, I understand that he looks nothing like Viserys, but it's been so long ago and they recast people all the time. Like, who's the fuck to say that if we didn't have a flashback with Viserys in it, it wouldn't be a recast of another actor playing him? Like, I know it probably wouldn't be, but I'm just saying, like, it doesn't. Rhaegar was meant to be this iconic character, and this guy did not fit the bill. This was John Cena in a wig. Let me know if there was anything that you would change about Game of Thrones or something that I mentioned here that you would keep the same. Explain to me down below in the comment section. Also, mention if you want me to do another one of these videos. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Go ahead and subscribe. Make sure you slap a like on this video, turn your notifications on so that way you get alerted every single time I drop Game of Thrones content throughout this off season. Also, if you would like to be entered into that contest, make sure you like this video, comment down below, and then click the gleam.io link so that you can go and follow those steps in order to be properly entered into this contest. Like I said, there are 5 winners. Super special thank you to Terry and Mario. You guys are my executive producers, and without y'all, these videos would not be possible. Also, super special thank you to Lise, Nancy, Ann, Amberlynn, Chris, Jeremiah, Beth, Rocketman, King Wolf Dom, Peter the Noble, David Gray, Queen of Maine, Helena von Leinstein, Belladonna, Cater Tot, Juliet 402, Elder Flores, Enid, Justin Stone Diaz, Darton, Marilyn Miller, Queen Moni, Fred Wick, Sammy Elmer, Joe Swag, Lynn Shaw, and Angel. Without you all, these videos would not be possible. And if anyone watching would like to become a patron and show your support to Sir Hunt's Reviews, all you have to do is click the link down below in the description. My name's Mark, and this has been Sir Hunt's Reviews.